Hello, historians, and welcome back. I am really excited to introduce you to this next set of challenges that you're going to be doing, because not only are you going to be learning about African American history, you're going to be learning about local African American history and kind of how it informs our understanding of national and global affairs. See, this is the part about history that is the most fun, if you ask me. I think it's so exciting to realize that you don't need to go to Washington, D.C. or Boston or Santa Fe or London or Amsterdam, or Africa. You don't have to go to a specific place that's far, far away in order to learn about history. History is right in your backyard. If you grew up in South Phoenix, if you live in the area, or even if you live far away, but you come to South Phoenix once in a while, you can stumble upon any number of historically significant sites and learn about local history, but also national and international history. So what I want you to do is help me with a variety of things that include local history in a national context. And for this set of challenges, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be contributing to the historic driving tour of South Phoenix. So what this is several years ago, a group of students and I, and some faculty as well, began researching a driving tour, a bus tour or a van tour of historic South Phoenix. And we drove around, we took people, we conducted a ton of research, and what it has turned into is a community interest project. So we will, reserve or rent big charter buses, like what bands and sports teams rent, and we will load up 80 some people. We've had groups of 80 and we've had groups as small as 6. Load them up on vans or buses, and we will drive them all around South Phoenix and tell them about the history here in the community. And if you, as you've been learning, South Phoenix is home to one of the most vibrant and significant African American populations in the city. It's one of the 2, I would argue. So what I'd like you to do today and for the next couple of days is research another location in South Phoenix that we should maybe consider adding to our driving tour of historic South Phoenix. And I'm going to show you how to do that today. So let's get started. As always, I am your hostess, Dr. Summer Cherland. All right, so here's your assignment. The very first thing you're going to do is choose a stop. You're just going to choose a location to study this week. So this is the historic driving tour booklet. We have a both virtual and a physical version. So people who get on the bus with us, they get a little booklet that looks like this. And each one of the stops currently in our current format has, like 1 or 2 small archival photos and a short couple of paragraphs about that location and its history. What I want from you and other classes like yours, I want either additional stops that we should consider or improved and additional copy. And so your class today is going to be looking at potentially adding additional stops. So the very first thing I want you to do is explore the current South Phoenix Historic Driving Tour booklet. And it's embedded here in Canvas, so you can just click on it. You just can click on it and look through it. So this is our route. These are the stops. We begin at the South Mountain Preserve. You'll notice a little bit further in, we have the street of Broadway is considered all of stop 9, but there are 3 pretty significant sites right there. And there's a 4th that I'd like to add, all in like a very small 1-mile section. So I want you to just click through the driving tour as is. Then I want you to decide, do you want to work alone or with a partner? I will accept teams of 2, no more. So if you want to work in a group of 3, too bad, one of you needs to work alone or find another partner. Obviously, if you want to work in a group of 4, you just split into 2 groups of 2. And then on your own or with your partner, you're going to select one location from the list I've provided to research and propose for inclusion in the South Phoenix Historic Driving Tour. I'm going to take you to that list in just a moment. Now, once you select your location, here's what you're going to do. In the discussion, you're going to post, what location did you select and why? Now, this may be very minimal information depending on the site you've selected. What is currently written about this location? What this means is what I want you to do, and I link to a property survey from the city of Phoenix, but I also have a link to our current driving tour. Just look and see if anything else has been written on this stop that's like in the driving tour or in this one particular document. What other information do you need to find out about this location in order to make it a viable stop for our driving tour? And then finally, are you working alone or with a group? And if you're working with a group, please write that other person's name. So if if Summer's working with Travis, both Summer and Travis post, but Travis says I'm working with Summer and Summer says I'm working with Travis. Sound good? Okay, let's take a look at your potential locations. Where can you look at? So there are, more than enough stops for the amount of students we have in this class. So what I have here are just different locations and their addresses. That's it. That's all I have here. So you probably won't know a lot about each of these things. Although you may, like, for example, maybe you yourself went to Percy Julian Elementary School, which is right up the street from South Mountain Community College. So you're like, oh, I want to study Percy or study Julian. That's where I went to school. Or let's say you know about Clovis Campbell or the East Broadway edition, or was another one, Sheridan Park. Maybe you know about the Weir Estates, right? There's any one of these places might be familiar to you, the South Mountain Mortuary or the Preston Mortuary, for example. So just go through the list, maybe do a little bit of light Googling. The addresses are listed for you there in the assignment, and then navigate back to the discussion, the initial discussion. All you have to do is tell us what location you selected, what's currently written about that. And that's what I mean in terms of light Googling, what's in the current historical driving tour, and then one more source I'm going to show you in a moment. What other information do you hope to seek out? Let's say you pick Julian School. Well, who was Percy L. Julian? Why is he relevant? What's his connection to our community? Are you working alone or with a partner? Summer and Travis, or Summer's working alone. Okay. Now, here is that thing I mentioned. There is a City of Phoenix conducted a series of historic property surveys in, I think, about 2004, sort of early 2000s. And that is where I got a lot of my ideas for this particular list of stops for this assignment. So what I want you to do is actually look at the historic property survey and take a look and see what was written about your selected stops. So let's say you're interested in, I'll go to a different one. Okay, let's say I'm interested in this site, 2019 East Broadway, and that's Sun Valley Life Insurance, Jones Realty and Insurance. I'm going to just copy that address and see what comes up. So I'm going to click on this little magnifying glass, and I'm going to paste 2019 East Broadway and see what comes up. Okay, it looks like there's 2 hits. This first one is a list of just the same thing that you saw in that list. So it's just a list of the companies that were at this location. Let's see what the second hit tells me. Same exact thing, 2019 East Broadway. Okay, that's not going to help me much in my research, but what if I were to search one of these businesses that was at this address? So let's look up Progressive Builders Association. Just click. Oh, I got 6 hits now. Okay. Here we go. All right. Formed the Progressive Builders Association, local home builder Travis Williams recalls. This is a story that is given to us from this person, Travis Williams. Okay, that must have something to do with the PBA. What else do we have? Progressive Builders Association purchased 160 acres in this area, 20th to 24th Street. Okay, so I'm starting to get some content on this particular location. So let's go back. What does Dr. C want from me in this assignment? What is currently written about this location? Copy and paste or retype the exact text in the property survey. Now, for most assignments in this class and other classes like it, you don't want to ever just copy and paste content directly into an assignment because that's considered plagiarism. But for this assignment, what you're doing is you're telling us this is what's already written. This is what I can find. Most content in this particular site I chose, the PBA, there's probably enough in that survey alone for you to be able to fill out 1 or 2 paragraphs. So it's okay if it's 4 paragraphs of content. Some of you might get 1 sentence or 1 phrase from your location. That's okay. Copy and paste. Just be sure to use quotation marks because you're not submitting this for the actual driving tour. You're telling me what's already written on the topic. Okay. So that's the first thing you're going to do for this first assignment. Then you're going to go forth and research young grasshopper. You're going to go off and you're going to learn more about this location for your next challenge, which is to propose a stop. Now pretend, and I want each of you to say, I really want this location to be on this historic driving tour. I chose this map. This is from the actual City of Phoenix property survey that I just showed you. And I actually chose this map because, let me see if I can annotate this for you a little bit. Do you see this area here? that's south of the railroad tracks and south of the freeway, and also south of the river. These, including these little three over here, these locations are all on the list that I gave you. So I'm not encouraging you, there's a few that are in gray. I'm not encouraging you to look north of the river or north of the railroad tracks. I'm really asking you to focus south of the river. Now, if for some reason you're like, but please, Dr. C, I really want to do this one location that's north of the river, and here's how I can justify that it fits within South Phoenix history, that's fine. Make your case to me, email me, explain your claims. But for now, the African American Historic Property Survey done by the City of Phoenix identified 3 locations where primarily African American historic properties were. One was considered East Lake, or they just call it East. One at the time was called West Phoenix, which makes me chuckle because the west side now is like way out on the west side, which is where I live, or South Side, which is down here south of the river. Okay, so here's what you're going to do. You are going to propose additional research and copy. Copy is a journalistic term for content, written material, for one stop on the South Phoenix Historic Driving Tour. Here's how. First, review what you know. Look back on the stop you selected in the previous challenge. What did the property survey tell you about this location, and what did it leave out? Review any lecture, reading, or assignment we did so far this semester that may inform your contextual understanding of this stop. And you see, I have a tiny little asterisk here. I'm going to come back to that in a moment. Then consult the City of Phoenix's African American Historic Property Survey for information on your selected top stop. You may have already done this. I just wanted you to make sure that you go back and see if you can use it. Then prepare and research. If you haven't already, watch my brief introductory video, which you're doing right now, excellent, for what I'm looking for. Then brainstorm a list of things you'd like to learn about your stop. So why would you want to learn about Percy L. Julian? Who was he? Where was he from? Who attended that school? Why is it located where it is? Any list of questions you have can be relevant to your research. And then just get going, start researching, call businesses, put out a call on social media, search the library, use materials from this class, scan our website, look back through any previous lectures I may have conducted, or email me or text me if you need help. This is the part that takes the most amount of time, is actually getting additional content. I gave you one source, the property survey, but there are so many other sources that you might be able to use. Once you've done some research, this is what you submit to me. I want you to propose a script for our tour booklet. Build upon what is already written to create a more complex script about your stop. Write a script to submit for our tour booklet. Each description should include 2 to 3 sentences, or I'm sorry, two short paragraphs that are 2 to 3 sentences. So you might see, like, look at how that's formatted. You see like 1 short sentence, 2 or 3 short sentences, 3 short sentences here. So I want it to be chunked out. This isn't a formal essay. No one's going to sit there and read 25 pages about each stop. They want like basic content right away. I want you to include at least 1 date, 1 locally significant fact, and 1 state or general fact for contextualization. What that means is, like, if you talk to me about Travis Williams, who he was, and the Progressive Builders Association, that's great. But I also want you to give me general information as to why this stop is important, not just in South Phoenix, but beyond, in Arizona and national politics. Names of people are not necessary, but you might include if they're relevant. So most of the places I gave you were like a person's house. So tell us who that person is and why they matter, right? Now, this is crucial. I want your script to be perfect. I want it to be professionally written. No spelling, no grammar, no erroneous mistakes, because the point of this assignment is you are proposing your content, your words for publication in this driving tour. I want it to be so good that I can copy and paste it directly into my tour booklet, and then right below it, script written by and your name. That's what I want. Okay, so the more perfect it is, the more likely that is that I'll be able to give you credit. And when you're ready, post your updated script for the whole class to see. So I want people to be able to scroll through and see these different locations, all right? So a couple hints and resources. Local history, this is just general information. Local history is stop specific. So for example, we have the northeast corner of Central and Broadway is home to local shops that have been here since the 1950s. Many are facing constant pressure due to loss of business and anxiety due to the expansion of Phoenix's light rail system. So it's very specific to that local location. But contextual history is what else was happening in Arizona or the country at the time. So for example, the South Mountain Preserve may feature information on the Huhugan, the Native Americans who worked there, and when the park was founded locally. But also it may reference information about Native Americans at the time of the Hohokam or the wave of land preservation that occurred in America in the 1920s. Does that make sense? So you're giving me both like 1 or 2 sentences about local history and then 1 or 2 sentences about kind of the grand or broad sweep in this class of African American history. When it comes to being perfect and professionally written, sometimes fragments make sense instead of full sentences, and this is fine as long as you do it intentionally. You are welcome to suggest a current or archival photograph for the tour, but it is not required for this assignment. As I mentioned, students who do particularly well with this assignment will have their script added to the official South Phoenix Driving Tour booklet, and you will be cited appropriately. I will not take credit for your words. I will put your name below that discussion. Oh, I'm going to change this. I said you could work in groups of up to 3 here, but I'm going to say 2. So let's say groups of 2. You get like real-time changes in my in this video. So you can work in groups of 1 or 2, no more than that. And I would like all people in the group to post their updated script for the class to see. So your scripts should be identical if you're working with a team. And then please review each other's work and give feedback. You're not required to do so for this assignment, but I would love to see a healthy discussion based on what you learned from each other's work. Okay, what do you think? How are you feeling? Are you excited to do this? I hope you are. This is a really fun assignment. It's challenging, but it can really be rewarding. And like I said, down the road, there may be someone who's learning about a location here in South Phoenix, thanks to you and the research that you've conducted. All right, everybody, good luck. I can't wait to see your work. See you soon.